I really hope that this episode can create a lot of clarity for the girlies out there who are overthinkers, who are over analytical, and you're like, I need to quote unquote figure out my life. The truth is, the best ideas come when you're actually not thinking, and this is why. Oh, hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. I am Kayla Rose. If you haven't seen me before, I know we have a lot of new followers on YouTube, but we have a whole community across Spotify, across Apple Podcasts with over 200,000 subscribers. I'm Kayla Rose. I'm the host of Skinny Dipping the Podcast. We love to strip down and we love to dive in metaphorically, of course. I mean, of course, we love like in real life skinny dipping, like don't get me wrong. But here I love breaking down concepts and diving into nuances around all topics around mental health, around science, around spirituality. I love to meet at that like intersectionality between science and spirituality, because I feel like for me, that's where I have found the most truth in my 8 years of my spiritual journey, and also loving reading about the brain. And I went to school. I didn't finish my degree, I'm just saying, but I did go to school for a couple years for sociology. I've always been super into understanding humans. Why do we do what we do? And that's what I love to break down here. And today is another one of those days, babe, because this concept has been on my mind for so long, because I think it's one of the most impactful things, especially for somebody like myself, who is an overthinker, who likes to take everything and overanalyze the fuck out of it until there's nothing left on the table. Like, how can we pick it apart? How can we problem solve? And I feel like so many of my girlfriends were like this. And I have just seen in my life that whenever I feel stuck and I have a problem, or I don't know what the next step is, or I don't have clarity on my life path, I don't have clarity on what the fuck that I'm doing in my 20s as a 26-year-old, the more that I think about it, the more that I try to problem solve and quote unquote figure out my life, the more I end up tying myself in a knot. And then later in the day when I, have just let it go, I'm like, I don't have to figure it out right now. That art of detachment right there. And I'm on a walk with my dog, or maybe I'm folding laundry, or maybe I'm just on a drive to go pick myself up some takeout, and immediately I'll be like, that's what I need to do. That is the next step. And it just drops in. And in the spiritual community, I call this a download, okay? And when it's a download, it can feel like it's from source, right? Source is in God, the universe, whatever you believe in, just like this source energy that gives you ideas all the time. Your creative ideas, those are channels from the divine. And, sometimes it feels like, oh, this is coming from somewhere else. But actually, when we look into science, I do believe that downloads are from the divine, but then also our bodies, our brains as human, we are also divine. We do have these capabilities within us, and the default mode network in science supports why we get these crazy downloads and aha moments in our life. And we're like, wow, this is what I need to do. I don't need to think my way out of solutions. I just need to experience life and the answer will come to me. I just need to align myself and act and the answer will come to me. I just need to clear my mind and maybe be bored for a couple of hours and the answer will come to me. The more that I can be a clear channel and not be consuming everybody else's bullshit, the more that my own mind and also my connection to spirit can really give me the answers that I truly need. And that is why the best ideas come when you are not thinking. And I know it's so counterintuitive. You're like, wait, what? You mean I don't need to journal about this and write this down? Of course, sit with things. But today we're going to be diving into explaining the default mode network, because it is so incredibly fascinating and interesting that actually the best solutions and the most clarity for any step forward always comes from almost nothingness. It comes from doing nothing. It comes from doing something mundane, and all of a sudden that feeling, right? If you're watching this far already, I know that feeling where you're like, oh my God, I just got the answer. Maybe you're out with your friends, maybe you're at a dinner, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, it came to me. And you just have that click, that aha moment, and it feels so good. So how can we access more of this magic? Let's strip down and dive into it. If you're new here, I want you to comment below. If you're on Spotify or if you're listening on YouTube and watching the video version, I want you to just go ahead and comment where you're listening from, or if you're a first-time listener, or if you're a returning listener, or if you see me before on TikTok or whatever, just share where you're coming from, because I love just hearing about you guys. And yeah, if you get any like downloads or aha moments during the episode, also drop them below, because I think that I want to create like community, especially around YouTube and in the comment sections. I think there's such a beautiful ability for you guys to share your thoughts that could hopefully impact others who are scrolling and reading. So make sure that you comment your downloads also below. And if you hit the subscribe or follow button, whatever you're listening on, and of course, you can go ahead and just copy the link and send it to somebody that you love. That always helps support the algorithm, to support my work, to support what I love to do, to create this free content for you guys. And if you feel like you want even more of this work, I have like breath work, EFT tapping, meditations, all this good magic classes on my Soul in Progress community. So anyway, let's get into it. I'm so incredibly excited. Let's strip down and dive in. Why do the best ideas come when we're not thinking? When like I said before, we're folding laundry, we are on a walk, we aren't paying attention to the actual problem. Our mind is elsewhere. Our mind is maybe in mundane, maybe it's in boredom, and boom, the aha moment, the clarity, it drops right in. Why does that happen? It's because our brain has this magical ecosystem called the default mode network. And I've been loving researching about this because honestly, a little bit about my process, like I love cross-referencing. Like I will cross-reference across different sources of searching. And I also love to look at peer-reviewed articles. And yeah, I just love to make sure that the information that I'm giving is something I feel like is reliable for you guys. And that's a really big priority for me. So there's a reason, and that's this default mode network. And I want to figure out in this episode, how can we access more of that? And instead of overthinking our way into literally tying ourselves into a knot and just feeling so overstimulated, feeling so much pressure to make a decision, to pick the quote unquote right decision, which first of all, there is no right or wrong decision, like literally ever. I believe there is an infinite amount of timelines. And with the butterfly effect, every single thing that you do transforms into the next infinite timeline that is possible for you in your future. So with that being said, there is no right or wrong decision, but I know for myself as an overthinker girly, for example, I'm an Aries, Scorpio rising, Gemini moon, okay? A little chart moment for you guys. And my Gemini moon definitely loves to just yap and figure things out, and it can just get so noisy. And the truth is, clarity and truth does not come within the noise. It comes within the silence. So what is the default mode network? I'm going to pull out my notes. Let's go. You know we got that. They're always crazy notes. You couldn't read them, but I can. So what is the default mode network? The default mode network is a set of brain regions that are large scale and intrinsically interconnected. They activate when you are doing nothing, when you're in nothingness, when you're in boredom, when you're in the mundane, and when you're resting. And this part of our brain, this whole unit that works intrinsically together, is responsible for self-reflection and daydreaming, but also remembering and imagining. And I feel like those two words, remembering and imagining, is why we have the ability to come up with the best solutions, because we're pulling together all these memories from our past experiences, from things that we've learned through our education, through just the thing that you heard on the radio that one time. You're remembering all these things that normally you wouldn't remember. And then on top of that, there's this imagining, there's this future forward ability to dream. And that's why I think this default mode network really creates the best solutions and best ideas. And there is the not opposite of the default mode network, but another system within our body called the central executive network. And I think it's important for us to talk about this because it gives a lot of clarity to why we aren't able to always access that default mode network. Maybe our brain is too active. Maybe we are not able to truly rest. And yeah, we have this DMN, so default mode network, but then they have the CEN, which is central executive network. And I think of this as like the outward boss babe, like where, the default mode network is, in the garden and coming up with the ideas and solutions and brainstorming and dreaming and scheming the reality they want to create for themselves and creating the best pathway there through the resources they've collected over time. We love that. We love that she's just vibing, but we need this central executive network, the CEN, because she is our boss babe that actually does. Okay. This is the actual working memory, the conscious memories that you are like consciously bringing up in your brain. This is active problem solving when you are sitting in front of a puzzle, when you are sitting in front of something you really need to get done. This is this active problem solving. And then also the CEN is responsible for goal directed behavior. So Yeah, I think it's really interesting because the CEN, if it's working towards a goal, I think it shows us that sometimes by working on a goal and hyperfixating on it, we can actually create blinders for ourselves where we're not able to see everything that we know, everything that we are able to think of and create from nothingness, because when we have a goal, we're so focused on that we can put blinders on, that we can miss really important information. And that's why when we are in this rest mode, we are able to activate the default mode network, which allows us to remember and imagine and basically pull all different scenarios, situations, past experiences, past education from parts of our brain that we are not even tapped into. When we are in the default mode network, your brain is able to connect so many dots that it's not able to do within an active problem solving and active thinking state, and with that kind of active goal directed behavior. So with that, it's like, can you do things that have less of a goal oriented response? For example, like I just love cleaning my house. I feel like I get the best downloads when I'm cleaning my house because, obviously the goal is to clean my house, but it's not like a serious goal. Like I'm not putting all this pressure on myself. Like I'm just going with the flow. I'm just doing it. Or for example, like even playing music, or today I danced in the gym and like I wasn't like, trying to be perfect. I was just moving my body, and it's like ideas flow in because I am not having this like, oh, I have to be this way, or I have to look a certain way, or I have to appear a certain way to others, or I have to accomplish this thing to prove myself. It's like those are all thought patterns that get in the way of our actual clarity and our actual truth. So why do we get these aha moments in the default mode network? First of all, number one, let's get into the science, baby. Let's talk about the incubation effect, okay? So when you step away from your zoomed in vision, right? You're so zoomed in. I need to accomplish this goal in my career. I need to make sure that I'm getting this certification, or whatever it is for you. So the incubation effect basically shows us that when you zoom out, right? When you can be so zoomed in and you're creating those blinders, when you actually zoom out from the vision that you're looking at, our brain does a lot on its own. It has so many capabilities. Please stop doubting your own mind and your own body and how fucking brilliant it is to be human, and so cool that our brain does so much. And that's why I love this work, because it's like the brain does so much on its own. When we actually like put our foot off the brakes and we stop trying to control anything, what happens is that the default mode network pulls neural pathways from past experiences from your hippocampus, right? Those past experiences coming in from that hippocampus, and past neural pathways and ways that you've thought. And it can just pull in all these things, and as well as associations and pattern recognition. And I genuinely believe, I'm going to talk about this a little bit later with pattern recognition, but it's like pattern recognition is one of the greatest signs of intelligence. And when we train our brain to love pattern recognition, we are able to come up with the most incredible solutions and just game plans and moments of action and choices in our life because we are seeing a pattern. So when we zoom out in this incubation effect, all these neural pathways, past experiences, the hippocampus, the association part of our brain, the pattern recognition part of our brain, they're all able to communicate with each other. They're all able to beep, boop, bop, bounce around, communicate with each other in the background. It's not conscious. It's in the background. It's doing its thing without you. And with that, boom, you know what to do. It just clicks because it took all these different parts of your brain to come up with the best thing for you, depending on all the things you've experienced and all the things that you know. And then also like coming into contact also with your intuition and the divine. This is like just my personal opinion, but when I look at the default mode network and then I look at intuition, I'm like, they work together. They're not either or, they're not separate. They're not like woo woo versus science. Like literally they work together to create the world. Like spirituality also is clearly science. We're able to see it in quantum physics, and it's just pretty fucking amazing what we're able to even prove within the energetic and spiritual realm through science. And I don't think they work against each other. I think they work together, and they really have the same goals and come from the same place. So when they're all communicating in the background, that little incubation effect creates boop. All of a sudden your chick is born in his little incubation. Ta-da! Number two. So another reason why we get these aha moments when we're activating that default mode network, whether we're resting or we're doing nothing or we're doing something mundane or something really simple for us, what happens is there are less distractions. And when I was writing about this episode, I got this huge download to just be like, you need to take your addiction to your phone and social media more seriously. And I do too, because the amount of information that we are constantly taking in just isn't sustainable for us and our brains. Our brains didn't evolve. Like, our human brains did not evolve to all of a sudden, like, I'm scrolling and I'm crying because I'm seeing what's happening across the world and with the children of the world, like specifically in Palestine, for example. I'll see that and I'm like, my fucking heart is ripped out of my chest. And then I'll scroll and I'll be like, this new thing happened in the environmental history, and it's really exciting and good things are happening. And I'm like, yay. And then I scroll again and I'm watching a video of somebody, having their dreams come true. And the guy who goes ahead and like pays people to support their dreams, and I'm crying again. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm scrolling again and there's a photo of a dog and I'm giggling. And it's like, our brains physically were not meant to, first of all, change that quickly, just in terms of our mood, our regulation. But we weren't meant to take in so much fucking information at once. And of course, there's important information. We need to be connected to the world. And also at the same time, the amount of information just has gotten so incredibly toxic. And I genuinely believe that less distractions lead to more original thought. And if you want to be a smart, hot girly, that really just like feels, I don't know, like for me anyway, I feel really lit up when I'm using my brain in a way that feels expansive for me. Like, I just love it. Like, I get it. If you're listening to this episode, I'm guessing you are like that too. And we need our original thought. We need our downloads. We need to be writing and sharing what we actually come up with through our past experiences and our education and everything combined and our intuition. But we can't do that if we're so clouded by distractions. So less distractions, and I use Opal, and this is not sponsored. I pay for it. It's honestly way too fucking expensive, I will say, but it does work. And it's an app on your phone. I also saw they have like the blocks. I'm like, they should sponsor me. I'm like, block, sponsor me, babe. Because I just think, if I want to support you guys in coming up with the best ideas and solutions for your life, and also having clarity and feeling in alignment and just feeling clear enough to be able to make decisions that support you and your future and your dreams, like, one of the main things that both you and I, babe, both of us together need to do is less social media, less distractions, less information intake. We need to chill with the information intake, genuinely. And number 3, why do we get these aha moments according to science? Basically, our brain is so cool and it is able to spot patterns, which I believe is the highest form of intelligence, and that can help you come up with the greatest solutions. I love learning about this DMN, this default mode network, to the CEN, Central Executive Network, because we need both. Like, they're both amazing parts of our brain that, we do need that active problem solving sometimes. We need that goal-oriented behavior, of course. And I think that's what our society is mostly based around. And that's why when I'm coming here and telling you to do more nothingness, more mundane, and lessening your distractions and lessening your information intake so that your brain can actually do its job. And also you can have clear channels so that spirit can also communicate with you. It's like we need both, but I think our society is really based off this active CEN, Central Executive Network. And I would just challenge you, if you feel like you fall into that category of always having to be on. And I get it, girl. I'll sometimes cry after a long day because I'm like, being on for so long is really challenging for me. And if you notice that you've been raised in that, as a lot of us have in this Western society, just notice, like, how can I activate this default mode network more? How can I do nothing more? How can I slow down? How can I create the mundane so that spirit can flow through me, so that my default mode network can do its job and put all the puzzle pieces together so I can know what to do? And now we're getting into the final part of the episode, which is the actionable steps. I love to talk about all of this in theory. Of course, education is important, but just like what I'm talking about, you don't need so much information. What you need is practice. You don't need more information. You don't need more advice. You just need, honestly, more mundane, more nothingness, more clarity. And that comes from just practicing and taking those actionable steps and not just talking about it and thinking about it and listening to this podcast, but it's actually doing something about it. So these are your actionable steps for activating your default mode network so you can come up with the best ideas without thinking. Number 1, do less. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. And if you struggle to do less, I promise you're probably struggling with some kind of dopamine addiction, or maybe you're really afraid of loneliness, or maybe you're really scared of boredom, and that comes from a discomfort with yourself, not loving your own company. And I still struggle with this so much. No matter how much I have worked on loving my own company, spending time with myself, slowing down, I still get into moments of judgment, and I still get into moments of hyper distraction, and it is so part of the journey. But just coming back to that practice. Do less, because when you do less, you create space. When you take in less, you create space. But get off your phone while you do less, because if you're on your phone, if you're doing less, okay, you're not doing anything. You cancel your plans, you cancel your meetings, you say, hey, I'll get to my emails till later tomorrow. I get it, girl. And then you go and you scroll on your phone. That isn't actually rest. That isn't actually doing less, because even though your body is physically resting, your mind is still constantly activated and getting hit with so many chemicals, so many emotions, especially as we talked about before, is, you know, the feed can scroll and change to such extremes. And you can't be on your phone when you're doing nothing. You need to literally go outside and sit underneath a tree and actually do nothing. Of course, like, you can bring little things to play with if you really need, but the more that you can just practice doing nothing, the easier it will become, and you will realize, oh, I actually love doing nothing because I see the effects. I see how I feel more clear. I see how decisions feel easier. I see how I feel less overwhelmed. I see how I'm able to create more aha moments and moments of clarity. Once you practice, and then you see what's possible from clearing that space and creating space, you will actually want to choose that path. Because now, like, years later, I used to really struggle. Like, I was so addicted with my undiagnosed ADHD to dopamine because of, like, the dopamine dysfunction within ADHD. I didn't realize until now, but I would keep myself so busy my whole life. And it was so fucking exhausting. I'm not gonna lie, like... And I still go back into patterns. And then if I'm not in that pattern, I can get into patterns of guilt of not being that way. And the truth is, the more that you show up and meet yourself with compassion, and you're like, I'm just having an old pattern come up right now, and what I really need to do is to teach my brain that it is safe to create space and rest and do less and focus on the mundane, okay? No phones. Number 2, actionable steps. I think anything in the somatics field can be so incredibly helpful, because when you're activating your body, it kind of helps not turn your brain off, but turn the more active parts of your brain off. Maybe the prefrontal cortex kind of disappears a little bit more and doesn't get as strong when you're in flow state, when you're dancing, when you're creating art. And anything around somatics and movement, I think, is really powerful. So if you're looking to get into somatics, you can try out EFT tapping. You can, for actionable steps, you can try out any kind of like somatic psychology if you're looking for a new therapist. Or you could try out breath work. Breath work has been so powerful because it really does allow you to access your brain. Just like comes up with the best solutions during breath work. And it has to be, because I'm not exactly sure, but like there has to be a connection to the default mode network here, because I realize the best solutions when I am in a breath work 2-hour session. So yeah, definitely any sort of type of somatics I think is incredibly helpful for getting out of your brain and into your body. And the more that you're in your body, the more that your brain, it can do the back end work and it can put the puzzle pieces together. Number 3, I know I've already said this so many times, but take it seriously how much social media impacts your brain. And I'm not saying to make yourself feel bad or guilty, because I promise you, my love, that is not the way. Like, if you make yourself feel bad and guilty, you're going to want it so much more. You have to meet yourself with the deepest compassion and just be like, yeah, I'm overwhelmed or I'm feeling stressed out about something. So of course I'm going to scroll. Of course I'm going to escape. Now, can we pattern interrupt, take a shower, or go on a walk and do something different? When you pattern interrupt the brain, you give it a moment and an opportunity to reset its feelings and its mood and just how it's operating. So take it seriously how much social media impacts your brain. Like, I understand. I literally do social media for a living, but the biggest tip that I would give you in that is I'm not really a scroller, but I notice I scroll way more when I'm not creating. So if you're not, like, this is an opportunity. Like, social media is such a cool opportunity in our lives, but it's like, how are you using it? Are you using it in the way that best serves you? And be mindful of that. And that just means taking it day by day and practicing getting off, pattern interrupting, taking a shower, or going on a walk. That's the actionable step. Number 4 actionable steps is getting into flow state. Of course, anything that puts you in flow state is just going to allow your brain to turn off and the other part of your brain to activate. And number 5, movement in general. I know these are all kind of similar, but I think the common theme is getting into your body and out of your mind, which we love. So default mode network, baby, activate it more, because the best solutions come when you're not thinking. They come, when you're folding that laundry, when you're on that walk. And you're going to find so much clarity when you take the actionable steps to actually rest, to do less, to create more space, to find the magic in the mundane and literally do more things that are incredibly mundane. Challenge yourself in that way and see what happens, and watch the best ideas flow to you. Okay, that is it for today. I love you guys so much. Make sure to subscribe, copy the links, send it to somebody. Of course, join the Soul in Progress community. Follow me on Instagram. All the things are there. But above all, I just ask you to have a conscious relationship with yourself and everything around you, whether that's like literally you having a conscious relationship to your brain and what it reaches for when it needs that cheap dopamine. Instead of having that guilt spiral afterwards, just be mindful of it in the moment. That awareness is how you begin to transmute it and alchemize it. And you fucking got this. I believe in you. More default mode network activation and more clarity and better ideas. That's what I want to see for us. I love you guys so much. I'm Kayla Rose. This is Skinny Dipping, and I will see you guys next Tuesday.